What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing the tier list for infection detected and malwarfare. Brian, let's hear about the mutation.
Malwarfare is the map where we have to escort Orana's transport as it purifies security terminals from a rogue AI. We win the game if she purifies all 5 terminals, but we lose if the enemies or suppression towers destroy the transport. Infested spawn from enemy buildings and suppression towers. Doodlings spawn from dead enemies, and all enemy units, including the Doodlings, explode upon death.
Okay, so Tutu and Stixbitter are on the call with us today. How are you guys?
Alright, it's good.
Good, alright. So, I assume we're both awake? We're all awake? Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's start. So, Tutu, how are you going to rank the commanders today?
So, commanders will have to defend against Outbreak as well as be good at like dodging the AoE from all the Broodlings that will come from that will spawn from all the enemies. So if a commander can like tank through that, that would be great. But most commanders have to be pretty mobile.
Okay. So, how about you, Stixbender?
Let's see. So Outbreak is really awful. Like, seriously. Outbreak is going to be a huge source of trouble for a lot of commanders because you
Unused
can't
suppression
full
towers,
clear this
yeah.
map. You can't full clear this map. And so you are going to have to face aberrations because you can't full clear this map and you can't fast clear this map. It's pain.
Yeah.
So the ability to deal with aberrations is going to be a significant advantage.
Okay, with that out of the way, let's begin. Abathur, where do we have him?
Abathur, you pretty much need to do toxic nest luring in order to get enough biomass for not a brutalist but a swarm host with max
Stacks.
max biomass.
Yeah.
You probably want like 2 or 3 before the first like area, so that's like around 5 minutes. You probably want 2 or 3 of them. If you can get that, then things will be a lot easier.
It's like a lot of work though.
If you can't, then you're
Help
gonna
LA.
suffer.
Help LA.
Abathur's Broodlists are pretty bad against self-destruction. If there wasn't self-destruction, he would be pretty good because he could AoE those Broodlings to death. But the explosions hurt so much, and his Brutalists don't have life leech, so it hurts a lot. So I put him in C.
Okay. How about you, Sixbender?
Yeah, so I don't really know how to play Abathur that well, and I would have no idea how to approach this with Abathur, so I'd basically just be copying off what Tutu said there. So I don't see any flaws in what he said, so I'm gonna agree with his rating.
How do you do static defense?
You're gonna float lots of minerals, so you make
Spine forest.
spores. You just make spines, but it's actually not very hard once you get like 8 swarm hosts. It's
AK.
like clearing, defending is not hard. I actually got both bonuses as well.
So once you have 8 swarm hosts, you kind of just have reached critical mass.
Yeah, and you just push. And if something hits like your natural, then you just deep tunnel one of them back, and it'll hold for a while you make more and collect all the biomass that's like dropped around the map.
So the reason he's not B or higher is because the early game is painful.
It's like if you gotta like know how to do stuff. If you just wait for the waves to come, that's kind of late.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why.
That's fine then. Alright. Abathur in C. Arcturus, where do we have him?
He is good. So yeah, you basically clear the areas with ESOs, and but you need at least you should have 4 or more bunkers that are full with armed troopers, P3 troopers, to defend against the trickle, so that like you could kill them before they get too close. Don't build the fire bats. You should build the regular gun
The
guys.
blue guys.
Yeah, the blue guys, because you don't want them to get close.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you have, even against aberrations, if you have 4 full bunkers along the path, they will die.
That's
and you can have like 1 or 2 SCVs behind just to like repair while you're not even looking, and use ESOs to clear. So I use the high ground in the I don't know what you call it, the third or fourth area, the middle area, that high ground area, and I put ESOs to clear the last area. So
Interesting.
I use that place as like a little base, and I put bunkers there. So overall, his game plan is pretty simple. And for defense at Arana, you just drop bunkers. You just have like a ton of bunkers there and defend. So I put him in A. It's a lot of work, but
It's a lot of work, yeah.
strong.
I would say A asterisk if I were to like A asterisk. He's A, but you need to work to get there. How about you, Stickspender?
So I know this works for Zeratul, so I think it works the same way for Mengsk. If you stun aberrations, like with an actual stunning effect, then their AI will not correct itself when they become unstunned. So if there's nothing in vision radius, they'll just AFK. And your siege tanks, with their stunning basic attacks, outrange aberration vision radius by a fair bit. So if they hit the aberrations with their attacks, the aberration just goes AFK and lets the tank wail on it.
That's interesting.
At least I think that's how it works. I know that it works out with monoliths. So
that sounds way easier than
Zeratul's monoliths make Outbreak silly because the aberrations just go AFK as soon as the first monolith attack hits them. So that's great.
That sounds easier than having to. That sounds cheaper than 4 bunkers with guys.
You still want bunker, but it's like you'll want like 1 or 2 bunkers and 1 tank, and that'll hold out like against everything forever.
For each entrance, or just one?
Honestly, each entrance you could probably get away with 1 bunker full of blue dudes and 1 tank, but like ideally, what you'd probably want to do is just like put 2 bunkers and a tank next to your command center or something, and then you just have bunkers near Arana in like larger numbers because those are supposed to defend aberrations, waves, everything. And yeah, just spam bunkers everywhere basically.
Okay. So where do you have him?
I would think he'd be around A tier, to be honest.
Okay. So
maybe, he's probably A tier. He's solid here.
Without prestige, does it change?
No, I don't think so, to be honest. P3 makes him easier as always, but like your bunkers ideally shouldn't be dying.
Okay. So yeah, that's A tier. Artanis, where do we have him?
A-ant. He's not great. I can tell you that right now.
Okay.
Outbreak is really bad for him. He's not going to be able to defend the aberrations for the most part. On either side. If he's going to have an army that can deal with Broodlings, that means he's going to have an army that can't deal with the aberrations on the front without losing too much. If he's going to be able to deal with the aberrations on the front, he can't deal with the Broodlings. So he's not even going to, like, even if someone defends for him, it's still rough.
That sounds painful.
And if he has to defend for himself, oh gosh. I couldn't beat this one with Artanis in solo. I don't know if Tutu managed to.
No. He's number 18, if there is.
Yeah, if. Okay, so yeah, basically Artanis not the greatest option here.
Is he already farty?
Yeah.
How about you, Tutu?
I don't think he's F just because he has a passive that helps against explosions.
Alright, he's already ERD.
Yeah. If you use P3 though, like your space archons are pretty good against like the front. So even if you have like nothing else and you're just dropping space archons, that's pretty helpful. So I wouldn't put him in F for just that reason. His call downs are still useful. But
he does
that,
something.
He doesn't do jack. He doesn't do anything. I got to about 30 minutes, the last area, and then I lost everything trying to clear the way to the 4th base. I had 200 supply, and I lost it all in like 15 seconds because there were too many things. So
that's unfortunate.
So hard, so difficult. Yeah, I put him in E.
In E. I'm wondering if do you guys remember that strategy where you against Poopigators, I think, where you destroy your building at the beginning because the enemies have vision of it? Will that work here against Outbreak?
I think Outbreak, they always know where your stuff is.
Ah, that's unfortunate. Oh well. So he's E, right?
Yes.
Any objections, Sticksbender?
Yeah, I don't. I'm not like convinced enough on F tier to say that. Oh no, he can't even have E.
Okay, let's have Artie.
Yeah, he can. Have E.
Dehaka, where do we have him?
I used Mass Muta Guardian, and I saw someone else use Mass Creeper Host, and they both work fine. Super big Dehaka and his super strong pack leaders can defend the front, and with some worm assistance to tank shots if necessary. And yeah, so you basically just throw creeper hosts. If you use creeper host strat, you just like use them like ESOs. You just throw them from your natural to the next area, and eventually you use them on that island that I mentioned earlier, that high ground, and then you throw them towards the last area from there. Yeah, and you have so many minerals that you can just make lots and lots of primal worms, as much as your supply can allow you.
I was actually thinking like a couple impalers at the base. I guess those aren't enough.
You can get those before 20 minutes, I guess, but like you don't really need that many, especially if you place them in the wrong place, they'll get blown up.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
I know a good spot to put them, but I can't really describe it. It's kind of like you know how Arana goes left and there's a path to the right in that V-shaped area at the natural. You put them at the top part of the V where no enemies really go. And so that if the enemies hit the buildings, they won't hit the lurkers or impalers. You also, like, for lurkers, anyone with lurkers like Kerrigan, you also put them there, not behind. Because,
interesting. Hey, how about this?
Them there, yeah.
How about this?
The Broodlings will go towards your buildings instead of your lurkers because they can't see them.
Just send me the screenshot. I'll send it to my editor as well.
Okay. I didn't do this because I didn't use impalers, but that's the spot you would use them. Okay, but yeah, so I put the Dehaka in A.
Okay, how about you, Sticksbender?
A makes sense. He's really good. He's just not quite S. But also, I'm really surprised that you didn't use impalers. All right. I guess, yeah, worms are pretty strong, so it's not like Dehaka has to use impalers. Worms are very strong.
All right. So
I can testify that impalers make Outbreak a lot easier. So if you are still struggling with Outbreak because you don't have Tutu's execution, just throw in some impalers.
If you're struggling with Outbreak,
take more than like it takes a small handful of impalers to just completely shut down those aberrations.
Make abs not a thing.
Yeah, they just get shut down completely by a very small number of impalers.
Yeah. I thought it was funny when Sticksbender said if you're struggling with Mutation because you don't have Tutu's execution, so like 99.9% of players.
Well, you might not have Tutu's execution, but still manage to not, suffer horribly against.
Like if you pick a really good commander. Anyway, okay, A is fine. Even without prestige, you're still A, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes. Han and Horner, where do we have them?
See, my experience was very different from the one when we played together.
Yeah.
I beat this in one try, so I thought it was not that hard, but maybe it's enemy comp dependent. It's just like you have one galleon at home, one galleon on the front, and mass battle cruisers.
Yeah. And, you used second prestige here, right?
Yes, second prestige, and then you make lots of Hellions and Hellbats. So I made Hellions earlier on, and then I switched to Hellbats for the stun, and also because they have more life. But that was not that bad, and then so I didn't have much trouble with that as long as like you can actually, like early on, you have a galleon, and then you just have your Hellion drive around in circles, or like tank, like kite the Broodlings. So you don't they don't hit your SCVs, but you
Yeah.
also can kill them with your galleon, just getting free shots. With that said, I think it's kind of enemy comp dependent. So
It is. It's enemy
and
race dependent. If you
Yeah,
get Zerg, you're
which
screwed.
what comp did you fight, by the way?
Protoss ground. Is
I
I think.
fought the DT one,
Oh yeah, the
Okay,
Doctrine
yeah,
Core
that-
one.
the easy one.
That the easy one,
The easy
especially for
one.
battle cruisers, because like everything has exactly enough hit points to get perfectly one shot by their Yamato. Beautiful.
Yeah, if it's Zerg,
No.
you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, that plus like
Landed
the call
Vikings
downs,
could,
you have to
if
know
it's
where
Zerg,
to
you can use
them.
Landed Vikings.
Landed Vikings, yeah, that's the thing.
I didn't consider that. I forgot about them. But I spent all my gas on battle cruisers. So
That makes sense.
but you also need to know like when and where to use each call down. So I think that matters a lot. And because you need a lot of luck plus like knowledge,
So a
commander
C
knowledge,
asterisk
I put them in C.
with an asterisk. You gotta know what you're doing. Okay.
I mean, it
How
doesn't
about
sound that far off from Alarak, right? You got to know what you're doing, but it works.
a bit different? Alarak, you just
a
have
bit
to
different.
know generally how to play Alarak. Just throw the enemies away. What I mean by asterisk is you need to know the exact timings of when to use the top bars and how to make
And to
micro
be
a
fair,
certain way.
Alarak, it's more a matter of like, do you have the execution? Han and Horner, you need the knowledge and the
Yeah.
enemy comp RNG.
Yeah. So that's a C asterisk for me. Alarak, I don't think needs the asterisk.
Yes.
But anyway,
he
how
just
about
needs
you?
you to get good.
How about you, Sixbender?
I mean, I kind of gave my input inside of Tutu's argumenting because of how I had to ask what comp he fought because that was an important question when using the battle cruisers.
Yes.
Which, makes sense.
It's a letter.
Yeah, just put him in C.
Alright, there it is. Without prestige, what happens to Han and Horner?
Does it change anything significantly?
You get
He
fewer
gets-
battle cruisers.
Is that a big deal that you get fewer battle cruisers?
Mm,
Probably not.
You slower push, probably, which means more abs. And it might come to the point
Well,
where
no, it
the abs
doesn't mean
are.
more abs because the number of abs is constant.
Well,
so-
if you push more slowly, that means the map lasts longer, because like abs are hitting Arana, which slows her down, and
I
the
mean,
suppression
you're
towers
mostly
have more
waiting for-
time. You know that stuff.
I mean, if the map moves more slowly, then you get more battle cruisers, so that just corrects itself.
Okay, not sure if it corrects itself sufficiently, but okay.
I don't think it's a big enough difference for a different rank.
Yeah, because like here's the thing: at a certain, it probably only really matters early on, anyways. Because at a certain point, you get enough battle cruisers that adding more and taking away from your Hellbats and Hellions might not even be worth it potentially.
My experience with Han and Horner is that the Duelings and the Zerglings and everything Zerg went under my battlecruisers, and they're all constantly in the red. Well, not all of them. Like, I had to warp them back home to repair. None of them died, but my
battle cruisers are designed to kill Protoss and Protoss only.
Yeah. So that's a C with an asterisk for me. Karax,
Yeah, fair enough.
Where do we have him?
Karax. So he's quite good. His static defense can hold against aberrations, but it's a bit rough. It's not tanks. Let me put it that way. It's not tanks. Monoliths are good, but you will need to put a decently large amount of money into your defense for it to hold against aberrations. On the front, you will probably also just want to use buildings, to be honest. Well, you can use Colossi, and their Fire Lance will just vaporize Broodlings. And also, Fire Lance for Spear of Dune is another thing that will just vaporize Broodlings. Because, well, firstly, Solar Lance will kill the Broodlings of any unit it kills anyways. But if something doesn't die from the Solar Lance itself, the fire damage will vaporize the Broodlings. So Broodlings are going to have a bit of a bad day for the most part. You'll have to burn more Orbital Strikes for that. though, when you're using orbital strikes to kill stuff.
Yikes! It
yeah,
never
to be
hits.
I feel like, I mean, if you're aiming properly, P3 Karax shouldn't have too many issues. Yes, you'll have to put a pretty solid chunk of money into your buildings because you're going to have quite a few monoliths to deal with aberrations. But for the most part, it's just gonna kind of be building simulator, and you can add
SimCity.
Colossi to go with your SimCity because their splash damage is good, and then you just kind of click on waves, and they die horribly.
All right. So what does it land him?
I think he can be A tier, to be honest.
Okay. How about you, Tutu?
Karax, what I did was I just made like cannons, but you probably need a pretty good number of them so that they can kill the enemies faster than like it to not let them get close, and more
Yeah.
batteries so that you get healed. For offense, I made like 4 or 5 carriers and then started pushing. And then after the area is cleared, I put cannons there. So it's mostly tower defense with carrier pushing. Solar, no, not solar. Purifier beam can also help push. Solar lance
Yeah, that's
clears
true.
waves. So yeah, overall pretty good, pretty solid. So I put him in A.
Okay. Without prestige, where does it put him?
Same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, you say so.
Without prestige, he's a little harder, but he should be okay. With any other prestige, well, if you're using P2, things are get really weird.
Yeah.
You probably just use immortals and batteries instead of cannons and batteries, I guess. And then don't F2. And if you're using P1, your buildings will forget how to die to a certain extent because of repair beam.
My experience with Karax is that he really needs those prestiges to have an identity in the mutation. But if you guys say
Yeah.
he's still A, all right, I don't really have anything to contest that with. Kerrigan, where do we have him?
Kerrigan. She's good. She's pretty good. So P2 I think is the best one to use here. So lots of AoE to zap all the Broodlings. She has lurkers to stop the infested, and she has lots of Omega worms to tank while lurkers kill the aberrations. So that's good. She has 2 life ultralisks to help if necessary, and lurkers in the front if you want. So yeah, I think you have to micro her a lot, and you probably want some queens at home to heal her in case she gets really hurt on the field. So I put her in A.
Oh, A, interesting. How about you, Estic Spender?
Yeah, worms are great tanks. Kerrigan is strong, and lurkers are very good. That's the summary. I think A tier makes sense, to be honest. Yeah.
Is she that much better than Phoenix?
Her defense is fine, like so much better.
Worm. She's better than Phoenix because worm wall.
That makes sense. All right.
You know, like 8 worms is as much health as Arana's entire health bar.
Without 8, isn't it 4? Anyway, without prestige.
Wait, I thought she had 8,000 hit points, Arana.
I thought the worms had 2,000.
No, worms are 1k.
1k. Okay, so without prestige, where does it land, Kerrigan?
Same. Still good.
All right, so A it is.
Just don't use P1.
Nova, where do we have him?
Nova. As I understand it, I haven't really played Nova against Outbreak that much, except for on mutations where I was able to just like hero solo the map while putting all my units at home. But as I understand it, you should be fine just leaving like
Liberators.
You can go P1, Mass Liberator, leave your tanks at home. The few tanks that you get should be enough, apparently, if you have proper SimCity. And then Nova plus Liberators should be able to just steamroll the map on the front line. And it'll be kind of like Alarak, except instead of saving overcharge, you just have to, like, it'll be kind of like Alarak where you want to clear buildings to make sure fewer aberrations go to your base, but you're just doing this so that few enough aberrations go to your base that your tanks can hold indefinitely, not that your manual overcharges can hold indefinitely.
Yeah.
At least that's how I understand it'll go, I think. I don't know. 2-2 can confirm whether that works or not.
I need a letter for. I need a letter first, though.
Oh. Well, I mean, if that works as I think it does, she's probably able to go into like B or A tier.
Okay, how about you two?
Probably B tier.
So I did exactly as what Styx described. It's just you get like 2 pairs of tanks and you put them in the natural and you put some like you have so many minerals you can just make the railgun turrets, a few of them, put your useless barracks there too, and you that's good enough. And then for offense, it's just all liberators.
The barracks is
and
useless,
ravens.
by the way. If you lose the barracks, you have to rebuild it so you can rebuild your railgun turrets.
Oh no.
It's a tech
I mean,
requirement.
you can engineering bay wall.
Yeah, but that's not really necessary. But you can do that. But anyways, so for offense, you have liberators and you throw raven turrets on the field so that the Broodlings attack those
Yeah.
instead of Nova and instead of the air units. But
So-
yeah, it's really strong, but I feel like it's a lot of micro. It's like a lot of micro to avoid.
Lots of micro, lots of knowledge too, because I know that I've tried it a few times to do this, and my tanks have died a lot. The SimCity is apparently not quite as self-explanatory as it appears.
Yeah.
So
So,
it does take commander knowledge a bit.
where does it put him?
I put her in B.
I
Okay.
agree.
Okay. Nova and B.
Let's check my.
Do you put the siege tanks in the same spot as the lurkers and impalers? The V spot?
No, because
No.
because they can be seen, so you don't want them out.
Okay.
The reason for the lurker and impaler spot is because they're invisible, and so the broodlings and aberrations will ignore them and just run past them. So we put them somewhere where they can get a good firing angle from being run past. Whereas the tanks, we want to put them behind our SimCity where they will be safe and the buildings will get hit instead.
Okay. So, Stat Boy, where do we have him?
Stetmann. So static defense is going to be a little annoying, but just keep green zone on and keep a sufficient pad of zerglings and you'll lose some, but that's okay. You just put the spawning pool rally point on there and you should just not have to replenish them too often. And then you just kind of like play normally with Zergling plus Gary on the front and you just keep green zone going and things die horribly.
Okay.
A tier.
All right. Tutu, how about you?
I put him in S because he can, like, he's just you just do
Because
everything
science.
normally. You just do everything normally because explosions don't matter to the lings, and then you can make ultras if you want for AOE, but you don't really need to, and you just keep like 5-6 lurkers at the base to kill aberrations and other infested, and you can have like 1 or 2 idle drones to repair the damage that they cause, and that's it. Everything else you just play as you usually do. So it's like really simple. So that's why I put him in S.
Does that convince you, Sixbender?
I mean, I already was considering him for S, so I
There we
just
go.
said A because I wasn't that confident in S. But if we're putting him in S, that's okay.
Because
okay.
Science.
It's science.
Stukov, where do we have him?
Stukov.
Sadly, not S.
You do the same thing. You do normal P3 things, and then you add tanks later on when aberrations come. Except you move bunkers forward like you would normally do, except that you leave a few back just in case aberrations hit there. But by that time, you should have like 4 or 5 tanks, and so you probably can just leave a eBay or barracks there or something. I think like once you have enough infested, the explosions don't matter. It's like having lots of free Marines, Jimmy Marines, and if they die, they die. If they don't die, then they're gonna keep pushing.
Great.
So I put them in S.
And they're still ranged. They're still ranged units with hit scan. So
yeah, I put him in S.
I don't think he's quite S. I think he's still a little bit lower than the other S commanders, but I'd see him in A.
Okay.
I feel like he's going to. You might have a little bit of trouble getting to that critical mass of infested, especially against certain enemy comps. Well, the other commanders who I would put in S don't really have quite such a concern about like, but if I get a comp that has heavy splash damage, I might just die.
I played against Classic Mech with Stukov. I chose Classic Mech.
Okay.
And
That
I still walked over them.
that's not the worst comp, but it's also I'd say that's a slightly worse than average comp. So if you can beat that just
How about
fine,
Baneling
then,
Scourge?
yeah, he's probably fine. Baneling Scourge shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Really?
Yeah, no. Colossi are the problem. Colossi are the big counter to your infested.
There's no like tier 5 here. I mean, like tier 5 Colossi, by that time you have tanks.
Oh, right. I forget. This map just doesn't remember to tech up. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Sure, he can go in S tier. He's like a low S, but he's an S, I guess.
Wait, are we have our second double S? Not right now,
we're
right?
gonna have more S tier, I think.
He's not double S. He's just
Regular
second
S.
person in S.
All right.
Yeah, he's low S. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I said he was low S.
All right. All right.
Yes. And Stetmann is not like a massive tier above the rest or something ridiculous. So
No.
Without prestige, still S?
Probably not.
Still good. You still do the same thing, except you press D to unload your bunkers more often.
He's probably, because of the sheer decrease in the volume of infested by a dramatic portion, he's probably like A or B without P3.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I can see that.
Okay. All right.
So he needs P3 to be S.
All right. Swann, where do we have him?
So Swann, remember P1? It's great. Isn't it nice when your laser drill slows the aberrations so much they can't even do anything?
It is.
I think so.
I agree.
Also, tanks plus flaming Bettys should really hold home pretty easily. So you can IDEF quite affordably without taking too much out of your, money for pushing. What do you push with? Floating factories and turrets.
By the way, Swann repair is free.
Yes, Swann repair is indeed free. So you are going to basically just Sim City, kind of like Karax, except floating factories for the laser drill. And the P1 laser drill should be able to just chew through this mission.
I also made wraiths.
Big way.
They attack in a way that they don't really stay long enough to get exploded on because they just fly away.
Wraiths are pretty solid. I would probably put most of my money into just more building, but
that
wraiths,
makes sense.
You can make wraiths. You can make wraiths, or you can just keep making building. I feel like he's a potential S candidate. Swann.
How about you, Tutu?
Really? Oh, this one. I thought he was terrible for pushing. His defense, of course, is the usual, like super strong, but I don't think P1 Factory pushes very.
Yeah, it's this map, right? You were saying this map in particular because the it's this map.
There's so many enemies.
Yeah.
But the defenses are so thinly spread on this map, aren't they? Oh. I've never had trouble with laser troll pushing on this map, to be honest, even without P1.
It's like you push, but then you don't really have time to build turrets. Because if you try to build stuff, then the Broodlings will go after them because there's nothing else to hit. So unless you like bring tanks with your SCVs, you're gonna have trouble. I used P0 tank push because I wanted my call downs to clear areas. And yeah, to clear big areas at once.
Turns out tanks are really good.
Tanks are not widely good.
You said if there's one thing that tanks are made for, it's if we're infested.
Yes. But in general, tanks aren't really good. But yes, they are good against infested. I'm kind of surprised you would use P1 tank pushing instead of P3.
No.
I get that you want the call down, but
I used P0 tank push.
Or sorry, P0. I mean, sorry, I meant P0.
I thought about P3, but it's just like the call downs are just important.
Doo-doo.
The call downs are important.
Tanks are so useless without P3. Like comparatively,
there's
they're just so vastly more powerful of P3 than P0 if you're using tank pushing.
How many tanks do you need? I found that 8 tanks is usually enough, and I just supplement with Goliaths. Whenever I'm running tanks. Whenever I'm running tanks in the Hercules, they're my quote unquote hero unit, and then the F2 group is the Goliaths.
Yeah. Your hero unit gets like to be 10 times more powerful if you're using P3 than P0, to be honest. Because it's not just the double damage, it's also the ability to load and unload so much faster, the extra pickup and drop range on the Hercules. The shorter cooldown tactical jump is a thing that sometimes comes into play.
But anyway,
Shorter cooldown.
anyway,
I
Tutu.
believe it. I'm pretty sure it has the cooldown on tactical jump on the Hercules P3.
Yeah, I don't really play P3 that much, to be honest. I just don't have time. Tutu, what letter did you say Swann was?
Oh, I didn't say it, but I think I put him in C because I think his pushing is
That's
terrible.
really low.
I am very not agreeing with that.
Have you soloed this, Stixmender?
Yeah.
Not
Oh,
yet,
Stetmann
so
had
I
him.
have to get to that, I guess. I
Yeah.
have to get to that and prove how hard/easy this is.
Well, Tutu has, so at the very least, he gets to stick with his not S, which again, if it's not unanimous, he can't be S.
definitely not S since 2-2.
I can see like up to B, but
Buon again.
yeah, his defense is good. But that's like pushing. Maybe I should try P1 factory push, but I don't. Yeah, maybe that will work better.
I would just Wraiths. Wraiths with the laser.
Wraiths also can push pretty well, yeah. If you're really having trouble with pushing, then do the Wraith thing that CTG mentioned, yeah.
Okay, so do we put him in A or B or C?
B. So 2-2 said the highest. 2-2 said the highest he would put him as B, and I guess B is
Buon.
Okay. If we assume that pushing is in fact really hard.
He seems much more difficult than the other A's.
Yeah, when you compare Swann with Dehaka, Karax. Yeah, alright. So Buon can get to join Phoenix and Bova. Tychus, where do we have him?
Tychus, so because there's Outbreak, I would suggest using Lone Wolf. If you don't already use Lone Wolf. Tychus can do pretty much everything in the front with serious turret assistance. Basically, every outlaw that you build will like be the next like I
guy
guess
at the rear
person, the guy in the front waiting
guy
to
in
like
front.
defend your natural. So it's like and then at some point I think the fourth person I got Nux. No Nux. Fourth person I think I got Sam for the towers.
Who's your third guy?
Third guy got Nux.
Nux is third guy.
Sirius, Nux, Sam, and then I got Vega last. Vega last to mind control the aberrations.
That makes sense.
And
threw aberrations back at Amon.
What do you do with the rest of the outlaws?
So in Sam is just hanging around to kill suppression towers, and the other three are in the front, switching around.
Okay.
Like killing them.
So letter.
I put him in B because a lot of micro and like.
There's nothing else to do though with Tychus. Like, yeah, you use micro. You don't have to do anything else, right? With the other guys, you have to build, upgrade. I guess you also have to upgrade.
You have to
Tychus
macro.
Feels like just P2 Phoenix.
All right, so both of you say B.
Probably. I could see him in A, but I'd probably put him in B.
Okay, I actually had him in A, but you guys said B, so
yeah.
I can see argument for A.
Because like he's so intuitive, like
he's very easy. He's very strong too. There's also you have to give some credit just to the fact that like Lone Wolf outlaws just are comedically strong.
They're hard to kill.
You A-move Tychus at a base, and it just kind of disappears.
Yeah. That's what I... Oh, we promote him to A?
You know what? He's P2 Phoenix with less macro.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
There we go. Zagara, where do we have him?
Zagara. It's very hard. This was so difficult. I used bio launchers. Is that a surprise?
Yes.
In 2
Check
locations.
it off my bingo card.
Yes, I used bio launchers in 2 locations. I wanted to use in 3, but I only ended up using in 2. So one is at the natural to hit the middle area, and the other one is oh no. I 3 areas because I put them in the middle to defend against when the aberrations start coming, and I put them on the high ground. I put them on the high ground after the tower over there was cleared. Aberrations spawned there and killed my tower, so I was left with like 4 of them to kill off the last area. But anyways, it's so difficult. You have to plan. You need a good enemy comp. You don't want to use your free banelings on their free stuff. As strange as it sounds, you don't want to use that.
But it's been done.
Yeah.
So...
I mean, you shouldn't do it, but like you think that because yours is free, you should spend them. You just use them. That's not how you should do it. I had like 12,000 resources, and I used all of it by the end.
Yikes!
I was floating 12,000 resources with max supply, and then by the end, I used all of it.
Well, max supply doesn't really mean anything to Zagara once you get to a certain point, but point taken. So where do you have him?
Yeah, I put her in E.
E.
It's really hard.
How about you, as the spender?
You're sure she can get all the way up to E?
Not worse than Artanis.
I'd say she's worse than Artanis. But
okay. So
yeah,
if it's not
we can put
unanimous,
her in
it's
E.
not F.
We can put her in E. That's fine. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I feel like I might have to bring out the coin again for the rankings.
Artanis and Zagara are just...
I'm gonna bring out the coin again. Zeratul, where do we have him?
Zeratul. Oh, right, yes. S tier. Cannons don't care.
Cannons don't care.
Cannons don't care about your feelings. They kill everything anyways. Monoliths also, as I mentioned, monoliths stun aberrations, and then the aberrations just get stuck. They just forget what they were doing.
That's beautiful. Just don't use those monoliths in your control group that you face forward. Otherwise, you might find your base in ruins.
I mean, you can use some of them in your group that you face forward, and then you can have aberrations getting stuck on the front line too.
That makes sense. Okay. How about you, Tutu?
You can also trap the artifact, which means your cannons will get consistently stronger and stronger. Basically, every 2 minutes, you just get stronger.
Yeah.
And it's a long map.
Yeah.
So you
do make Void Templar. I made Void Templar to take care of suppression towers.
Yes, suppression towers.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, it's just easy S.
All right.
Cannon Void Templar. Yeah, easy S.
There we go. That's all the commanders put in the tier. So let's start with rankings. Who's the best among the S?
Zeratul.
All right, that was easy. Second best.
Stetmann.
It's already correctly ordered. There we go. Let's move on. A. Who's the best among the A?
Manx, maybe?
Manx.
Arcturus?
Yeah, Manx.
All right, unanimous. Second best. Tychus?
I think it's Karax.
Karax or Kerrigan?
Karax also, yeah, Karax also good. Well, all I say Karax is good, so let's have Karax second. Third best in A.
Probably the Kerrigan.
Kerrigan?
Kerrigan.
How about you, Tutu?
Kerrigan.
Yeah, he agrees. Kerrigan.
All right. So Dehaka and Tychus, who's better?
Dehaka.
All right, there it is.
I think.
B. Who's the best among the B?
Phoenix.
Okay,
If
yeah.
we're assuming P2.
Yeah, I can see that. And then who's better between Swann and Nova?
Nova.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nova. It's Phoenix, Nova, Swann, I think. If we're just going to assume that Swann is in fact bad at pushing, Nova's quite good.
Okay, C. Who's better between Al-Arak and Abathur?
Uh,
I think Abathur because once you get to your 8 swarm hosts, you just kind of
once you get to 8 swarm hosts, you stop caring. You just play.
Yeah.
You just push forward.
so it's
You don't even have
correctly,
to worry about things dying because your locusts have so much HP.
so it's correctly ordered already.
The locusts won't even die, and they're free.
All right, there it is. So for D, who's the best among the Ds?
Vorazun.
Vorazun? All right. Rainer and Han and Horner, who's better?
Jimmy.
I think Han Horner is better.
All right.
Coin.
Coin?
Fine, Han and Horner. Actually, I'd give it to Han and Horner, to be honest. I think.
All right, Han and Horner. There we go. All right, now for E, heads or tails?
No, I think actually, honestly, thinking about it more, comparing bio launchers to anything Artanis has, no. You know what? I think Tutu's got a point. Bio launchers at least do something.
You just did one lose the coin twice in a row.
No, I actually like bio launchers. Actually, are better
You
than
don't
anything
need that
Artanis
many. You just
has
get like
here.
5 or 6.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's been done before,
Well,
Zagara.
I've
it
used
hasn't.
bio launchers. I've used bio launchers, and I've discovered, oh gosh, bio launchers are good.
Plus, Zagara has a solo, Artanis doesn't.
And
Alright, there it is, guys. The rankings for this week. Watch Tutu and Stick's Better's channels. I will link them below, and I will see you guys next time.